Thank you for coming. I want to look at the costs of asylum accommodation. Hotels cost 76% of the accommodation costs. Clearly, we need to cut down on those costs. Sharing rooms is one way of cutting down on the costs. I note that the Home Secretary, when she was chair of this committee in the House, criticised the sharing of rooms. Is that still her view, the view of the Home Office, that rooms shouldn't be shared?
Well, we inherited this situation as we inherited the contracts that you're looking into. Over a 10-year period, these contracts were let in 2019 when the context, I think, was very, very different to the one that we're working in now. And I think, I don't want to speak for the people that let the contracts particularly, but we do know that the overall amount, that numbers far exceeded what was expected. And in fact, hotels weren't part of that contracting system at all when the original contracts were let. They became a kind of bolt-on, I think, in the aftermath or since the arrival of COVID. And at the same time, we were in a situation where the people smuggling gangs were allowed to take hold across the channel. We had the large rise in...
With respect, we know this, but I want to focus on the sharing of rooms.
It's important to get the context. The position is that we're not anticipating a different approach to sharing of rooms. We are aware of the outcome of their asylum decision.
Good. So the Home Secretary has changed her position. Now sharing of rooms is a good thing, yes?
No,
I just want to establish that.
I didn't say that, but if one were going to say that no rooms had to be shared at all, then you would double the number of hotel rooms required overnight, double or treble. And what we're trying to do is get down the inordinate cost of the system we have at the moment. You don't do that by doubling the cost with one decision overnight.
I wrote to you in March about this issue and asked about the Home Office figures on sharing of rooms, and you said the Home Office doesn't record those figures. It only records the numbers in a hotel, not number of shared rooms. Clearly, if we want to cut down costs, we should work out whether or not we're sharing all the rooms we can share. I asked you in the House about it, and you did say you'd write to me. You haven't yet written to me. So can I ask you now, why doesn't the Home Office actually capture the data of how many rooms it's sharing and whether it's maximising that?
Well, firstly, can I apologise for not writing to you? I will take that up with my office when I get back from here. That should have happened, so my apologies for that. Secondly, when these contracts were let by our predecessors, they are very overarching contracts, and we contract with the prime suppliers. You also have to remember, I think, Mr. Kohler, that hotels didn't form part of the thinking when these contracts were let. So there are some rules about size of rooms with respect to how many beds can be in them, and the efficient use of space which is being paid for is important from a cost point of view, and therefore if rooms are a particular size, people can double up or treble up. The information that we collect is about numbers who are accommodated, who we pay for. We don't collect individual information on each and every hotel room.
Would it not be, can I ask Mr. Ridley, would it be useful for the Home Office to collect that data to make sure you're maximising the efficiency of this process?
So the work that we have done over the last couple of years is to work much more closely with our suppliers to have much better information on the people in each hotel, so precisely so that we can maximise usage. That's why we did start to share more hotel rooms. As the Minister has said, there were rules about space, so we had to go through it hotel by hotel with suppliers, and we have hugely increased utilisation rates. We've got numbers of people in far fewer hotels than we had 18 months ago. We've brought the per person per night cost down, and we've been able to reduce the cost of the asylum system over the last 12 months quite considerably. we have done that in large part by using the estate much better. That is the work we will continue to do, but there are also just operationally large numbers of people moving through the estate and between different parts of the estate on essentially a daily basis. So what we have asked is that suppliers are maximising the use of their space, as the Minister says, trying to monitor exactly who's in each and every room. We don't collect that data, but we do have the data of utilisation rates overall and the cost, which is ultimately what we are seeking to reduce.
Without capturing the data, you're confident that the suppliers of accommodation are maximising the efficiency of these rooms?
So we have much higher utilisation rates than we had a year ago, and I am confident that we are having the dialogue with our suppliers to maximise usage and to continue. We still think there is room to drive up the utilisation rates, both in the dispersed accommodation estate and in the hotel estate, and we will continue to improve that.
Why is that a slow process?
Suppliers.
Why can't that just be done? Why does that take a while? Why can you just not say every room that can be shared will be shared?
So, I mean, there's some practical things about the configurations of rooms. So some rooms that could be shared, suppliers had to buy extra beds, and we had to get extra beds into them. There's a sort of preparation of rooms for sharing. There are parts of the estate that have got families in, and other parts that have got single males in. There are things we seek to do about who does share a room and common languages and some of those sorts of questions. And then, as I say, there's a large flow through and around the estate as people join it and people leave it. So what we have set is the need to improve utilisation rates. That has happened, and that is what we are continuing to monitor. But it's not they're either sort of at 100% utilisation or not. We need to kind of just keep pressing to maximise the value that we get from the estate.
The Home Office has a contractual right to benchmark the service. We understand from the National Audit Office that benchmarking hasn't occurred. Why not? Why have you not benchmarked it against comparators as you can under the contract?
So excuse me.
So we are actually looking at a future accommodation strategy, and one of those aspects is looking at what a future way of supplying accommodation should look like, and that includes benchmarking across local authorities and others. With regards to these contracts, everything's about driving the right value for money from the suppliers in question. And so for example, the price per person per night of hotels has come down considerably during the period of this contract as we have driven value for money from them. But we are looking at that benchmarking with regards to what should the future accommodation strategy look like.
These contracts have been in existence for a number of years. Why haven't you used the power to benchmark? Why haven't you done that?
Well, I think
Simon
might want to say more on this, but I think part of it is that there has been lots of unstable times. There has been not only, in this case, 134% increase in asylum accommodation requirement, there has been COVID, there has been the need to open hotels. All of that has meant that there hasn't been a stable baseline against these contracts for a while. We are now, as the Minister says, bringing the system under control means that we are now approaching a more stable baseline, which will allow us to have that kind of approach.